Alright, so today's lesson is lesson 57, which is on probability. Now, probability is something that you have heard used before, but we're going to put it into mathematical terms. So here, go ahead and write probability, which is our first vocab word, which is a measure of how likely it is that an event will occur or something will happen. Now, when we talk about probability, we are dealing with numbers between 0 and 1. And normally our answer will be a fraction, which is between 0 and 1. Now our next vocab word is chance. And that chance is used to describe the likelihood of an event. Okay, so this is how likely something will happen. 100% for events that are certain to happen, which is your 1, which is a probability of 1, or your 0% for events that are impossible to happen, cannot happen, which is a 0% chance. Now, where have you maybe heard someone say that there is a 80% chance of something happening? If you can think of the Weather Channel, that is a really good example. A meteorologist might say there's an 80% chance of rain tomorrow. So it's not quite 100, it's not certain that something will happen, and it's not 0%, it's not impossible, but it's an 80% chance of rain. So that's an example of chance that in the real world how we would use it. So right here I've written a 0, a 1/2, and a 1. And these are all written in probability form. Okay, so I'm going to start down with 0. And I'm going to write a letter next to 0, which means it is impossible. So I'm going to kind of draw a dash and write an I. Because if something is 0, a probability of 0 or 0%, it is impossible. It cannot happen. Now if I come over here to my 1, if something is a probability of 1 or 100%, it is certain. So I'm going to write a C because this is certain. It will happen. Now, there are times where, like we said, our weather, which is an 80% chance. So 1/2 is obviously 50%. And if it's 80%, we're kind of up in this spectrum. So if it's 80%, I would say that it is, I'm going to write a L, because it is likely to happen. It's not certain and it's not impossible, but it's likely. If I go down past this 1/2 mark, so now I'm in the 0 or the 10%, the 20, 30, 40, and not quite 50%. If anything's less than 50%, but not 0%, I would say it is unlikely. So I would write a U. For example, I'm sure down in Texas, their weather forecast tomorrow would say there's only a 10% chance of snow tomorrow. So I would say it is very unlikely. Okay, so we're going to do our very first example. You can go ahead and pause and write down your problem and then hit play and we will walk through it. So a dot cube, or a die is what we're talking about, is rolled one time. Which word best describes each event? So we have our words here. We have certain, we have likely, we have unlikely, and we have impossible. So we're going to read each situation. We're going to decide, is that certain to happen? Is it 100% positive? Is it likely? Which is, it's going to probably happen, but we're not quite sure. Is it unlikely, which means probably not, but there's still a chance? Or is it impossible? Okay, so this is what we're going to decide with each situation. So the cube will stop with 3 dots on top, which means I'm taking my die, okay, and I'm going to roll it. And what is the chance that it will land with a 3 on top? Is that impossible? No, because there's going to be a side that has 3 dots on it. Are we certain? No, we're not really certain because there aren't 3s on all of the sides. We're going to say that it is very unlikely. We're going to put a U. It is unlikely to happen, okay, because there's only one side. There's only one side with a 3. Let's go down to the next one. The cube will stop with more than 2 dots on top. Of the 6 faces on that dot cube, so the 6 different sides, 4 of them have more than 2 dots. So we would expect that a number greater than 2 would end up on top more than half the time. So if it's more than half, but it's not certain, we're going to say that that is very likely. So I'm just going to write an L for that one. That's likely. Okay. Letter C. The cube will stop with fewer than 7 dots on top. Now, when I have my die, and they are numbered 1 through 6, right? And the question says the cube will stop with fewer than 7 dots on top. Well, aren't they all less than 7 dots? You're not going to roll and have a 7. There are only 6 sides. So, is that going to happen every single time? Yes. So I'm going to write a C for certain. Now I'm going to move down here to my last one. The cube will stop with more than 6 dots on top. Now, if I have a die with a cube and they're all numbered 1 through 6, am I ever going to roll the die and it lands with a number more than 6? I would say no. So that is impossible. I'm going to write an I. Okay. To the next example here. A circle is divided into 5 equal sectors. Find the possible outcomes for letter A, letter B, and letter C. So what we're doing right now is if we had a circle here and we spun an arrow and it landed on a letter, what is the chance that it is going to land on letter A? Or what is the chance that it's going to land on a letter B or a letter C? Okay, so what I like to do here first is I count how many pieces I have, which they tell you in the question. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 pieces. And if we look at this kind of like a pizza, each sector or each piece is 1/5. So I'm going to put 1/5 next to A. 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. And if we add up 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, we get 5/5, which equals 1 whole. So if I spun and I were looking for letter A, what is the possibility that I'm going to land on letter A? Well, there's only one of them, so it would only be 1/5. 1/5. Now, if I spun it again and it went around and I was supposed to land on letter B, what is the possibility? It is, again, just 1/5. You would only land on it probably 1 out of 5 times because it's only on the board once out of 5 possibilities. So I would say 1/5. Now, if I spun this arrow and we're trying to land on letter C, what is the probability? Well, I have 1, 2, and 3 out of 5 pieces. So the chances of me landing on a letter C are likely. They're not certain because I have other options, but it's very likely that I am going to land on a letter C. And if I look at my numbers here, I have 1/5, 1/5, 3/5, which if you add up together, 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 3/5, it equals 1 whole. So that is my total, 100% of my circle. So the chance of me landing on C is 3 out of the 5 possibilities. All right, and our last example right here. Okay, a bag contains 5 red marbles, 3 blue marbles, and 2 yellow marbles. So think about it. If we were to have a bag with all these marbles, we're going to close our eyes and pick one without looking. We want to know the chances or the probability that we're going to pick a marble that is blue, or that the probability that we're going to pick a marble that is not blue. Okay, so we know that our numbers are going to be between 0 and 1. It's never more than 1 or less than 0. Okay, so if I were to add up all these marbles together, I would say 5 red ones plus my 3 blue ones plus my 2 yellow ones gives me a total of 10 marbles in the bag. Okay, in our big bag of marbles, we have 10 of them. If I close my eyes and I want to know if I'm going to pick a blue, what are the chances? Well, I have the chances out of 10. So I'm going to go ahead and put that as my denominator. What is the probability that the marble is going to be blue? Well, how many chances of blue marbles do I have? I have 3. So my fraction or my probability is 3/10. 3 out of 10 tries are probably going to be that blue marble. Now, I'm sure if we tested this, it might be different, but this is the probability or the chance that we're going to pick out this blue marble. Okay, now what is the probability that the marble's not blue? Well, if we add up our 5 red marbles, plus our 2 yellow marbles, we have 7 other marbles that are not blue. So the chances that we pick a marble that is not blue is going to be 7 out of 10 tries. So if we add these up together, 7 plus 3 is 10, which equals our full 1. Okay, so the probability here, 3/10 that we pick out a blue marble, and 7/10 that we pick out a marble that is not blue. Normally when we do these lessons, you will have a lesson practice. Now, I did not put it down here because we are doing this lesson in class together as our trial run. So normally there will be some problems for you to try by yourself, and I will check them in the morning.